Hey YouTube, this is part 2 of my video on Arrested Development. I just want to kind of finish my thought. And I just think it's kind of bizarre that this group would hit it on the scene, have 3 really standout tracks on their first album that are all hits, and then it seems like everything else that they've done has at least not been a commercial success. Like I was saying in my last video on them, they broke up, and then of course the main rapper guy tried to release some solo albums. I have not heard one track of any of those. Usually, and I could be wrong here, someone in the comments can let me know if they've heard any of these other albums, but even if you listen to some of the songs, I've heard some of the songs on their album that came out in 94, and it just seems like, not that they went in a different direction, because like I said, I think their first album, the one that was called 3 Years, 5 Months, and 2 Days in the Life of, I think it's like an artist who's really, really talented, and he just kind of free-versed something. He splashed a whole bunch of paint against a canvas, and it just worked out. He didn't have a plan. He or she didn't try to brainstorm what they just, what was in their heart came out onto the canvas. Maybe that's what happened with this group, because I just feel like their first album was great, and not every song on it is excellent, but overall it's an album that, if you take all the albums that came out in 1992, this one is going to be in a lot of people's top 10. It's got not only good songs, but it's got just really cool, positive vibe to it. But at the same time, it still has a little bit of street cred, and it's so authentic. I mean, you can just tell that these people, this is just how they were. One of the people is a backup vocalist, but they're also a spiritual leader. And I don't think they made any of that up. I think these people, it'd be like if you got together with a couple of your church group friends and you guys made an album, and then one of y'all is the spiritual leader or whatever, and it's you know what, we're gonna give them that credit. But it was just such a unique group, and usually I'm not a huge fan of I'll listen to some Christian rock, and I'll listen to some religious music, but it's not really what I seek out. But the talent here is just really cool, and it's really cool how you can tell that they're a family, and they're just kind of hey, let's just make an album. But anyways, my point is that I think they released this album, and then they win a Grammy, and then they just didn't really know what direction after that, maybe. And then when their 1994 album failed, within a couple of years, they couldn't think of another hit. They couldn't back up. Tennessee was a huge song at the time, and I mean, it still lives on today. If you turn on the radio, you don't really hear Mr. Wendell, and I wish you would. I think that might be my favorite song by them, because I just think it's so unique. And yes, there's been other songs about homeless people, but they're literally in a really cool beat and in a cool way. They're sort of explaining to us that we look down on these people that are street people, but they're eating the food that we throw away, and they're just trying to make it through the day just like us. And I just always liked that song. But anyways, since 2001, Arrested Development got back together, and I mean, I got a whole list of albums that they've released, and I guess they're self-produced. It isn't like they're with some huge record label. But I mean, they got albums that came out 2001, 2003, 2004, 2006. I mean, 2010, 12, 16, 18. So I'm going to go through, and obviously I'm not going to be able to listen to all these. I mean, they've released, like, since 2001, I want to say there is at least 12 albums from Arrested Development that have been, like, either, however you want to say it, self-published or self-produced. I don't know how much of those is worth listening to. I'd love to find one that kind of recaptures the magic that they had on 3 Years, 5 Months, and 2 Days in the Life of. I really like that album. And it's not perfect, but you know, not all rap has to be gangster rap, and I think that's what Arrested Development was doing. They were like, hey, you know, we're not trying to bash gangster rap, but that's just not our thing. Like, we want to be more Afrocentric, more positive, more, like, uplifting. Like, you know, yes, you can justify gangster rap, and you can say, oh, they're just reporters, they're just telling you what's going on in the streets. But it is cool to have these groups that are just, there's so much positivity that you listen to the album and then you're like, oh wow, that like really put me in a good mood, or that opened my eyes about this, or someone's trying to enlighten you on something. And I think that this group had something. It just didn't, the magical spark that they had on their first album, I don't know that it ever got recaptured. I would like to go back and watch the YouTube video of their Unplugged album. If it's what I think it is, where it's an MTV Unplugged. Now, if it's just an Unplugged album, then obviously I just listen to it. So that I will check out, and if I have any thoughts on it, I will let you know. But anyways, you know, just want to give Arrested Development their flowers for this 92 album. It's definitely one of my favorite albums of that year. I just like how different it is. There was nothing out at this time that sounded like this. I mean, yes, you had other positive rap. You had songs by A Tribe Called Quest. You had groups like that were more like De La Soul. Groups that were like, hey, we're not going to just be vulgar and talk about bitches. We're going to, like, you know, have some positivity. But this was just on another level. This was like trying to be spiritual. This was like just very interesting. I kind of wish that Outkast had one of their albums that was like they're another rap group that gets kind of spiritual, but also you just feel like I don't know the best way to explain it quickly, but anyways, like, I just liked how this was like such a nice, positive, spiritual, but not, you didn't feel like somebody is trying to lecture you on religion or anything like that. Like, I don't like to be lectured to when it comes to religion. I don't mind listening to religious songs. It's just not my main cup of tea. But I just liked how this was so authentic. It felt like this is just who these people were at this time. Almost like they were like well, yeah, I mean, they were a musical group, but I mean, it just felt like they were like a family, and they were like, it's going to be fun to release an album like this. Almost like back in the 70s where like a hippie family would just like release something. I mean, I don't know the perfect example, but I'll leave it at that. I really like, you know, if no one has heard 3 Years, 5 Months, and 2 Days in the Life of by Arrested Development, listen to the full album. I think for the most part, it's wonderful. And I'll leave it at that. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, and if I check out anything else by this group that I think is noteworthy, I will let y'all know. Thank you very much. Talk to you later.